to the Bear Down Abroad podcast with me, Ant, back in Gothenburg, and me vape. Winning 6 out of 7. Who could have seen that coming after week 2? And Caleb Williams is the man. I'm not even going to mention the other quarterback that I used to be talking about because Tony would literally jump up and down with joy. But wasn't it great to watch? Absolutely fantastic fourth quarter. We've got loads of stuff to get to. And the best part, we got the Queens coming up at the weekend. And sure, look, you know what? We'll be beating them, living in Gothenburg, living in Viking country. We have to beat these lads. Let's get listening to it. Tony, hit the music.
Hello, we're back. How you doing? Welcome in. It's the Bear Down Abroad podcast.
Do you know what that reminds me of? This is suddenly a memory came to me here. I used to watch WWF when I was younger, WWE now. Mm-hmm. Remember the Bushwhackers?
These guys.
Yeah, they used to do this as they came in.
That could be us. That could be us.
That is us, to be fair. Jesus Christ, two grumpy old men. What's the crack with everybody?
I've had a few bushes in my time, Ant, to be honest.
I'm saying nothing to that. Hello, Martin, Dean, Matt. Great to have you on the chat. Love it all. Get involved. Anyone that's listening to the show, get over to us. What else are you going to do on a Wednesday afternoon? The Bears aren't even training. I don't even think they're doing a press conference or anything. Here, come on over to us. We won't charge you a penny.
No, we won't. Listen, guys, great to have you all in the chat. Wednesday, it's a new thing for us. We're usually Monday folk, but due to various circumstances, Monday was not a goer. So Wednesday we are. We'll see how it sticks. And Wednesday might be the day. You never know. I
was about to say, Martin, Dean, Matt, anyone else watching, is Wednesday's the one for you guys to tune in? Is that easier for people? You know, we can get time to think about it, really get our thoughts together. Anyway, before we go further, what do you think of Sunday, kid?
Yeah, I mean, it was another win. It's another win, you know, and that's really the bottom line in any of these conversations that we're having. I must admit, watching what I said last week when I watched the Bengals game, regardless of what happened, I had a feeling we were going to come back and win. In that Giants game, though, for parts of it, I was genuinely worried that we were going to make an arse of it against a team who everyone said we should have beat. And it was going to be one of the easiest games we were going to be playing. But lo and behold, it was a close, kind of tight game in terms of the score anyway. But here we are. Fourth quarter, Caleb Clutch Williams comes out and basically just puts the whole fucking city of Chicago and the world on his back and goes, don't worry, lads, I've got you. Gets us over the finish line. And, I mean, that's why you have him in your team. That's why you use your top number 1 overall pick to take a guy like him because, you know, we can see that he's getting there. He's getting there. It's been a slow but sure build up, and we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We've still got miles to go. But that just shows you where Caleb Williams is in comparison to guys that we've had under center in the last decade. But yeah, exciting game. What about you, man? How did you fare? How's the old heart?
Yeah, I Sundays it's 7 o'clock in Sweden when the game's going on. It's a terrible time for me because I'm just dropping off my kids home. So it's a terrible time. So I usually try, what I do is I usually don't watch Twitter at all until I get to halftime. I try and fly through the game as quick as I could, but I couldn't for this one. I kept looking at the scoreline and 7-0. I was happy with that. And then I got involved just before halftime. And I was like, Jesus, the third quarter was tough. And then the fourth down, it just didn't look like it was coming. But this team is built to something different. And the belief and the confidence they have and the overall confidence you have, not just in the quarterback, and let's call a spade. That's the end of that conversation. He's our quarterback for as long as that guy's fit. As long as he's around, he is the future of the franchise. He's the future of the team. And he went and absolutely we were asking this question a couple of weeks back. Can he go and win a game on his own almost? And there's your answer. He won that game on his own, and he brought an attitude to that team in the fourth quarter, which then resulted in our defense feeling that was their moment to really step up and close it out, which they did. And big players got involved at big moments. But let's stay with Caleb for a minute. I just thought his overall demeanor, considering all the drops, all the other things, and we've been begging last year for an inside offensive line that will give him that opportunity to go and produce what he can produce, and then get a head coach who's a say what you want about Ben Johnson, no matter what happens, he's play call and he can play call, and even not on his best game, and it wasn't his best game, we still have this ability to go and win those important games and those tight games, and it's almost shocking, if I'm honest, just to have that feeling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Quarterback, you're right. Again, another game out over 200 yards passing.
Should have been around 250. Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll go on it in a second, but the drop passes were definitely an issue. A lot of those guys didn't help the situation. But you know what? Again, everybody's had up and down games. Caleb's had up and down games. The defense has had up and down games. Ben Johnson's had up and down games. The whole not everyone's going to be perfect all the time. And I know there's a lot of chat out there about Olamide Zacchaeus, fireman of the sun and all this kind of carry on. It's nonsense. Like, yeah, the guy's it is exactly. The guy has a place on the team. He has dropped a couple of passes in that game, no doubt about it. He's dropped 4 passes all season. But that puts him behind a lot of guys that are considered, fantastic wide receivers and number 1 and number 2 wide receivers in the league. Do you know what I mean? Like, people do drop passes. I think the weather wasn't great. I think the ball was hard. Listen, I'm not making excuses for him, but once I see it happening more consistently, then I worry about it. I think he's been relatively solid up until this point. But yeah, he should have had more yardage. There's no doubt about that at all. But Caleb Williams will tell you, and I'll agree with him. I know everyone's sort of like on this, well, we need to get to 4,000 passing yards this season with a quarterback. And he's on track for that based on what he's done so far. But the most important stat is that win column stat. If we can just continue to stack up those wins somehow, while we're building the team, while we're getting to where we want to be in terms of how we play, if we can just become a winning team and have that winning mentality, all that kind of stuff, then it's going to set us up really well for this season and moving forward as well. But yeah, in terms of the game itself, man, obviously we're talking a wee bit about Caleb Williams there. One of the kind of bigger concerns maybe again this week, the defense. Giving up a lot of yards. I think it was over 400 yards again. Same as last week against the Bengals. What's going on there? I mean, we were sort of relying on the defense for a little bit, and now we've gone to that sort of, what's happening?
Well, see, the thing I think of straight away with that is, in the past, if our defense isn't playing well, it's game over. You might as well pack up and go home. We still only conceded 20-odd points. Now I know their quarterback went off injured. That's the way he plays. That's going to happen to him, unfortunately, the way his coaching, now the coaching is no longer there, but the way the coaches have played him, that he's not going to be long in the league the way they have him playing. But he looked good, to be fair to him, he looked good. We just seem to be able to stop the run, and I think Grady Jarrett hasn't worked out the way we wanted it to work out so far, but hopefully that changes. And yet we're still winning 6 out of 7. And this is the difference of this team, is that we find a way to go and win these close games because of our offense, or because of our defense, or because of an individual player. Like Tariq Stevenson was making plays left, right, and centre at the start of the year. Not so much now. Noel Sewell had a good start to the start of the year. Had a very poor game on Sunday, in my opinion. And then other players step up. I want to mention one player who I think has gone under the radar a little bit and been not forgotten about, but there needs to be more spoken about. I get you on Zacchaeus, and I think Zacchaeus has definitely got a place to play in this team, and he's going to be an important weapon going forward. But we got to give Burden more touches. For me, and I put this out now, he's the most naturally gifted wide receiver we have. I genuinely believe that. I think he could be the number one wide receiver by the middle of next season, because he's just, every single time he seems to get towards him. I can't remember a drop by him. The problem we have with Luther Burden, the only problem I have with Luther Burden is on kickoffs. Because when it's kicked off, if he doesn't catch the ball, he doesn't block, which is unusual. Now he's a rookie, you get all that stuff, but exactly, Dean, the route he took. Now the pass with Caleb was sensational, but the route he took wasn't a rookie route. That was, and it's the lateness of the route. It's not just the route. It's the catch just before the Caleb run touchdown. It's not just the route. It's the lateness of the turn to catch the ball. The ball was right in front of him when he made his turn, and almost impossible for a defensive back to stop that. And he just, every single time he has the ball in his hands, he just creates that excitement. And I don't know, I include Roman this, I include DJ, both sensational wide receivers, and right receiver 1 and 2, or 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call them. But Luther Burden just excites me when it comes to playing football. And I want to see him get more targets. I want to see him get more touches, because whenever he does, good things seem to happen.
Yeah, and this has been the chat on certainly during the game on Sunday and afterwards as well, as should Luther Burden be getting more targets in the case. And I think definitely in the long run, absolutely. You know, he's a guy that you've taken really high in the draft. He's a guy who probably could have been a first round pick as well. You know, Zacchaeus has been brought into play a bit part in the offense, certainly this season, probably next season as well. But long term, Luther Burden's going to be here a lot longer. So yeah, I would love to see him get more of the ball. I think part of what's happening is Ben Johnson's sort of easing him in a little bit and giving him a bit at a time, which I kind of appreciate. I like in a way that he's kind of slowly exposing him to it, and it's not getting to the point where, you know, that it's too much for the young guy or whatever. I mean, we don't know what this guy is really like in terms of how he's coached or how he's receiving coaching. Maybe there's a reason why he's not been getting as many touches of the ball, but the ability is there to be seen. There's no doubt about that at all. Phenomenal player. I think is this second. Now we're entering the second half of the season. I think you'll see more of him. I think. And we talked about Ben Johnson wanting to get to a point of trust with rookies. He's been talking about it all pre-season, and I think maybe he wasn't 100% there with Burden just yet, like he was with Manungai or any of those sort of guys. Like maybe it just wasn't there. I don't know. So hopefully that develops as time goes on, and we see Burden get more of the ball. I think we will. We've seen Burden do, you mentioned it there, the kick returns, and it was fantastic. Part of me is just kind of like, Luther Burden is too much of a special player for me to put him at the kick. Just, you know, like obviously he could do kick return and he could play wide receiver, but much higher risk of getting injured on the kick returns. You know, I would rather keep him for playing as a wide receiver, and hopefully he gets a wee bit more sort of exposure in that field, that area of the pitch as we go along. But the question I've got then, so obviously we talk about Luther Burden coming in, the caliber of player he is, or we hope he is, where he was taken in the draft. Who does he replace long term? I mean, because we can only have, you can really have two top receivers. You know, in the long term, or in the short term and the long term. Did we say he drop DJ Moore or not drop him, but give him less and push Burden up, or do we?
Yeah, I think
what's the answer there?
I think this season you'll see him getting more touches ahead of Zacchaeus, or he'll get more touches ahead of some of the other players, I think, for now. But I think long term, by this time next year, you would hope that it's Roma Dunze 1, Burden 2, and then DJ either in as 3 or a bit more of a slot receiver. Joe, a little bit different to what DJ will be. I think that's probably where it'll end up going. Just not you can't have too many weapons though as well. So it's great to have that little versatility, have that ability. But from a long-term betterment for the Chicago Bears, the betterment for the Chicago Bears is to have Rome Odunze on a rookie contract and Luther Burden on a rookie contract. That's the betterment of the Chicago Bears. Now that doesn't mean I don't love DJ or I want to get rid of DJ. I made that tweet and someone was like, "Oh, you want to get rid of DJ?" I don't. I love DJ more. I think DJ is brilliant. But if you're being realistic about the long-term plan for the Chicago Bears, the long-term plan for the Chicago Bears is having someone like Ozzie Trupillo taking over left tackle or Theo Benedette becoming the left tackle while as a rookie. That allows us to spend more money in other positions. It allows us to get us that avenue to be able to go and do that. You see it all the time. Good teams work through the draft. That's what we've all spoken about to then allow us to be able to develop other scenarios. Do I think that's going to happen this year? Probably not. I think Luther will continue what he's doing with a lot more touches. But what I think is exciting is that if you're a defensive coordinator going up against this Chicago Bears now, and by the way, I saw this tweet before I got on the show, and this is a massive reason why we're talking what we're talking. Midway through the season, it was done by Adam Mason. Midway through the season, the Bear offensive line ratings, Drew Dolman is third amongst centers. Darnell Wright is third amongst right tackles. Joe Tooney is seventh amongst left guard. And Jonah Jackson is 10th amongst right guards. I cannot remember in my lifetime a Chicago Bears offensive line halfway through a season with those kind of stats. And to add to that, then we've then got opportunities for players: Loveland, Burden, Moore, Rome Odunze, Zacchaeus, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, Monongai, all those added weapons, 6 or 7 added weapons that you have to try and play for. And last game on this little rant, the call a spade. When Caleb needed somebody to catch the football, it was the rookies. It was Colson Loveland twice, and it was Luther Burden twice. And that's a great sign for the future of the Chicago Bears as well, that relationship is growing that way too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the stats between the two of them, so Zacchaeus at the moment has sorry, hold on a wee second. I had this stat up here a second ago and it's fucking disappeared now. He's got 248 yards on 32 receptions this season so far, whereas Luther Burden has 222 yards and just 16 receptions. So in terms of the production, it's clear to see what Luther Burden can do.
The only thing I'll say, and sorry for interrupting you, the only thing I'll say on that is Burden's more of an explosive play guy. Yeah. Zacchaeus is the slot guy who gets you your 7, 8, 9 yard reception as a safety blanket. So stats can lie a little bit, but I get your overall point. I do get your overall point.
Yeah, it's merely just to illustrate the only 16 receptions, and that's where he's at so far. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's clearly one of those guys. If you give him more opportunities, he's going to take advantage of it. So, as I say, I think it's been a case of being careful in the first half of the season with him, and then in the second half of the season, you'll probably see a little bit more. And I think it was Dean in the chat that said something along the lines of, Ben Johnson doesn't want to show his hand with Luther Burden too early. We want to see how that thing goes. So that's really exciting. On the offensive line, though, I mean, at the start of the season, to go back to week 1, in week 2, we were sort of looking at the offensive line and we were going, right, Joe Tooney's great, no doubt about that. Drew Dolman's been okay in certain aspects. Jonah Jackson's been okay in certain aspects. The left tackle and the right tackle situation was a bit messed up, obviously with Darnell Wright injured, and then we were starting with Braxton Jones, and there was a lot of issues there. And then obviously things have just changed. And was it the week 3 game or the week 4 game, whenever it was, that they changed around. They brought Theo Benedette in to play left tackle. They had right, and since then, and then also we've got Darnell Wright back now. And sort of since that week 3, week 4 point, the offensive line, and that was when that was incidentally when they sorted the run game out. When the offensive line started to step up. And to go back to, criticism that guys like DeAndre Swift had received and all that kind of stuff, DeAndre Swift is not a bad running back. He's a very, very good running back. The problem is the offensive line just weren't really getting things going. There was some schematic issues. They're getting used to trying to find out what they're good at, what they're not good at, with the play calling and all that kind of stuff. So and Ben Johnson said it as well. It's a team effort. It's not just the running back that's getting these yards. It's the guys that are blocking up front. It's me making sure that I'm calling the right play, all that kind of stuff. The Bears in the bye week went in and made some excellent adjustments in terms of the run game, and the offensive line has been absolutely phenomenal. Not even that, they're getting so much better in pass blocking as well now. We see that Caleb's got a little bit more time in the pocket to make his reads or whatever. But if you look at the number of sacks Caleb's given up this season versus last season, I mean, it's night and day, absolute night and day. So the offensive line has been phenomenal. But if you, I just think it's mad how much this offense has turned around in just one season. They've gone from being ranked in the bottom 20s for just about everything to being in the top 10 for a couple of different categories, top 5 for points per game or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just nice to see us at the other end of the table for that stuff. And to think that we're only halfway through the first season, like that sort of change usually happens over maybe a whole year, but we're seeing it a lot quicker. So when Ben Johnson talks about getting to December, and that's when he wants to be really playing how he thinks that they're going to be playing long term, I'm really excited to see what that looks like. And it feels so much like the offense is going to have to bail this team out now for a change, when for so many years we were relying on the defense bailing us out, giving us the ball back only for us to get a 3 and out and then or 4. And it's mad how we've sort of changed the way this team is set up.
Yeah, I think as well. What's impressive for me about this whole situation is the belief that everyone seems to have on the football field. Okay, the example I would give is, remember the first year under Nagy, I think we were beating Detroit in Detroit with around 4 minutes to go. And what was it? What do you mean last year? And Bird was going on about the fact that everyone on the side of the field was panicking. Like, get the game over, win the game. There seems to be none of that. Like I was panicking when I think we gave up the fourth down. We were down by 10. I think it was like 4.5 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go in the game. I tweeting out, that's game over. That's it. It's done. Big loss. This is a big important defeat. And you just got the feeling that even though the defense were playing badly, they were going to find a way to get the ball back in the hands of their offense. The offense then Caleb took over and got them down the field, made some big plays, ran the football, great pass to Loveland, great pass protection for the pass to Luther Burden, and then he finds Roma Dunze again. He finds Roma Dunze in the end zone, includes a run in that. And then you almost felt that 2017, even before the shank kick, I still felt confident if they'd have kicked it down to the 20 that we'd have been the final play to win the game. That's what this team is installed in me right now, and it's. I'm not saying I was shocked that we won. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I never expect anything good to happen, but there was a confidence with this group that, okay, if we're going to lose, we're going to lose, and it could happen this Sunday. That's fine, but you get the feeling with this group that you feel proud of this group that do you know what, these guys are actually giving it their all. They're actually. They may make mistakes, and they'll make a lot more mistakes. They're not perfect by any stretch of imagination. But we are in a really good spot right now with coaches. We're a really good spot with culture. We're a really good spot with the players in key positions making the right decisions. And we've been critical of Ryan Poles. Tooney's been an absolute sensational get. Darnell Wright has been a sensational pick. You gotta hold your hands up and give credit where credit's due. Those kind of moves, even Jonah Jackson with a lot of money given, and Drew Dahlman, everyone's like, they were obvious picks. Nah, they weren't. They said to go out and get them, and they said to make them there. And then he gets Eric Bieniemy in at running backs coach. He gets Allen at the cornerbacks coach. All those different moves have created this culture feel, and then he's given. And I love this, and I actually want to ask you the question on it. He still has little shots at the players. So I think it was after the Baltimore game, he had a shot at the players saying, well, the leaders need to stand up. And it's that, because he's built it up over 10 weeks and in the preseason, it allows him to go and say stuff like that. And the players to go, actually, you know what? Yeah, we need to do that. What was your take on not just that, but that whole cultural element that's changed in the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, firstly on that, I mean, I'm all for that. Like, end of the day, you've got to be real with your players, with your team, and let them know where they are. You can't be blowing smoke up everyone's arses all the time. So it's absolutely fair enough. And I think end of the day, fair enough, we're 6-3, but we haven't done anything yet. Like. That doing something really is getting to the, like, okay, and listen, I'm not being a dour-faced Bears fan here. I'm not, right? Because it's great that we're winning, and I'm not picking holes in it. I'm not doing that at all. What I'm saying is, we haven't made the playoffs yet. We haven't won a playoff game in 15 years.
A long time.
Yeah. Okay. So when we start doing stuff like that, then you can maybe stop picking bones out of your players as much. And that's just because you want to encourage your guys, you want to try and motivate them to get to that next level, and that's what being a leader is all about. You can absolutely encourage, but you've also got to say, hold on a second, we're not there yet. We're 6-3. We just gave up 400 yards 2 weeks in a row. We were blown out against the Detroit Lions last month. So there's still, not, you can't say that everything's great, because there's improvements that can be made. And even when you're a team that's in the playoffs and you're winning, there's always improvements you can make. Even when you're a Super Bowl winning team, there's always improvements you can make. So he's right. The players have got to step up, the ones that are the leaders in the room, and say, do you know what? Like, these games where we've maybe fallen apart in the second half or whatever's happened, we need to sit down and go, why did that happen? And how can we make sure that doesn't happen again? And who made the mistake there? And what do we need to do to fix it? And all that kind of stuff. So yeah. That I'm absolutely fine with that. In terms of the general culture with the Bears, man, I think it's well, it's funny because you go back to, you look at the last two head coaches, and Matt Nagy always kind of went on about how the culture is this, that, and it was like, oh, we all love each other, and fucking you're great and I'm great, and here's a participation trophy, well done, that was deemed as a good culture. But it was never a good culture, really, because of all that shit. Do you know what I mean? They would rotate captains just so everyone got a shot. I mean, what is that? You're either a captain, you're either a leader, or you're not, right? And they didn't have 53 leaders on that team. Trust me. And then you look at the Matt Eberflus thing. Again, it was much the same. It was very much, there was no edge to the team. There was absolutely no edge to the team, and Eberflus tried to get edgier, and he grew a beard. He was like, I'm a bad boy now, but he was still a cracking defensive coordinator who should never have been a head coach of a team. So now it's different. We've got a bona fide psychopath in the team now who is running that, and he doesn't accept mediocrity, and neither should we. So don't ever feel bad for wanting more, even if you won, because that's how you get better, and that's how you get the best. And I'm not going to start doing the good, better, best, right? But that's the point he's making. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got to get from this point to this point to this point. And I think what we're doing now, or what Ben Johnson's doing now, is phenomenal. And listen, I'll be the first guy to admit, right, that when we were taking on Ben Johnson, sure, from an X's and O standpoint, offensively, I thought, yeah, this will be good. Our offense is going to be good, but I didn't really know much about the guy in terms of how he was talking to players, motivating players, man management, which is actually, for a head coach, a lot more important. And I was going, oh, I don't know, like, he doesn't. I've never really seen him kind of. But see, since he's come in, my God, I fucking love watching those post-game videos when he's in there and one eye's going that way, one eye's going that way, his hair's fucking all over the place. It's phenomenal. Like, and like, people are looking at him, and it's like, and I watched Caleb Williams after the game, and it was a video released in he kind of went up to Ben Johnson and he kind of went, yeah, like hit him in the back, like, yeah, well done. Yeah, come on in, sort of thing. And Ben Johnson's like, aye, but we need to be better. We need to be better. Like, even in the throes of celebration, he's still thinking about, well, we need to be better. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the guy's crazy and I think he's fucking brilliant. Like, I think he's absolutely fantastic.
But what he's also created is he's not brought his mates in with him. I remember when they announced he hadn't pretty hardly talked to Dennis Allen, hardly talked to Eric Bieniemy. Would have known them obviously, but wouldn't have been their mates. And you hear them going to like, cursing at each other over the earpieces and stuff. I love that. I agree with you. I think Ben Johnson's a lunatic, an absolute lunatic, and he's ours. And you see the reaction you get. Like it's hilarious what I've seen. The development of what that looks like and how we are now getting to the point where, oh, look, Henry's in the chat. Come on, Henry. Packers out the division. Just a quick one, Henry. When the division's on the screen, the Packers are third, yeah? You know they're like the third. And you've lost the last two at home. Just a quick one for you. But nice to
Jordan Love getting on, Henry. Who's he getting on?
Yeah. He looked great, didn't he? He looked great.
Oh, back in your box. I'm only joking, Henry. You're very welcome on the show, Henny, by the way. You're very welcome.
Do you know they've loads of first round picks? Oh, no, they don't. They gave them away. Anyway, look, we'll see them in a couple of weeks. It'll be great crack because I'm sure Henny, I thought it was Henry, but Henny will be on the show. I'm sure he'll come on and have a chat about it. I think for me, there's just so much positives to be looking at this. There's so much opportunities, but I also think this game this weekend is going to be an absolute. It's going to be a cracker, and it's going to be a close one. I think we're there good. We're in trouble a little bit. I think you'll see a lot of the attacks that they have. Their wide receiving core looks pretty good. Not just pretty good. They've got the best wide receiver in football. They're a really, really good side. I think their results have gone against them a little bit. I don't think they're a 4. What are they? A 4-6? I don't think they're a 4-6 team. I think they're better than that. Exactly, Matt. Welcome, Henny. How's life been? Packers run the division, you little Irish lad. That's very nice of you. Thanks for being kind and doing that. Unfortunately, you don't at the moment. But I'm not talking about Henny anymore. But also, the last game we played the Packers in Green Bay. I can't remember the score, but I think we're 1-0. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right, Henny.
They haven't beaten us in a year, so it's okay. That's
talking about more important people. We were meant to have our good friend Noel on the show tonight.
Yes.
And I advertised that he was going to be on. Unfortunately, Noel has ran into a situation and he can't be on. But he'll come back on maybe next week. I think maybe next week.
Hopefully he's going to come back on next week.
Hopefully. But it'll be good to have him back on because I've missed talking to him and he's a good guy and knows his stuff as well. Anyway, so just to put that out there in case anybody was wondering where he was. So there you go. So do you want to move on to the game then, the Vikings game?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Right. Okay. So what I'll do is first I'll bring up the injury report that everyone's having a meltdown about. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, end of the day, it's Wednesday, right? So I'm really not concerned about this. I mean, obviously Kevin Byard and Grady Jarrett are both resting, because they're older fellas and we give them a wee day off now and again. But generally speaking, with Wednesday reports, is starters tend to get a bit of a rest, generally speaking. So I'm not overly concerned about it. Once we get to Thursday and Friday, then we'll see how this thing kind of ekes out. But what were your thoughts when you seen that injury report? Was it a meltdown for yourself as well, Ed?
Not a meltdown. I think the eyes raised a little bit when seeing Tyreek Stevenson on it and seeing TJ Edwards still on it. We'd like to see those two. And Brisker. Obviously, Byard and Jarrett are fine. That's just a rest day. But those ones on the positive side, seeing DeAndre Swift is only limited, Cole Kmet is only limited. They'll be good to go. And then everything else. I mean, DJ Moore and Roma Dudes, they seem to always be on this on a Wednesday. It seems to be their day off almost. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. For me, as you said, Friday is when you need to look at it. If these guys are all still on it on Friday, then yeah, you can start getting a little bit worried because we need to be all cylinders against this Vikings team. We've been 0-2 in our division so far. We need to win our division games. And this is the first opportunity to do that. And then we have Cairn the week after. So there's an opportunity if we go into this. I know the Vikings are 3-point favorites, and I get that based on week one. And as I said, we're there strong, we're a little bit weak, but there's nothing on there that would terrify me. It just gives the opportunities there, I think, and let's see what we're like on Friday. What about yourself?
Yeah, again, that's just fine. It's fine. If you look at the guys that are there, obviously you look at Jaquan Brisker, TJ Edwards, DJ Moore, Redunze, Tariq Stevenson. There's guys that you're like, right, we need to get that sorted. But again, I'll wait until tomorrow's, and some of them will change, and then on Friday it'll change again. So we'll see how things go. But again, I'm not going to get overly worried about the Wednesday report just now. We'll just sort of have to wait and see what happens. But end of the day, like, it's just got to be next man up, even if people are out. Like, and that's just the way of it. And we've got to have a team that's got depth. And we've struggled with depth a lot in recent seasons, a lot of positions. But I think we're a bit better set up. The only one I do worry about is defensive back. But to be fair, CJ Gardner-Johnson's come in and been absolutely phenomenal. In place of Kyler Gordon in that nickel slot, so we've got him in there making plays. Nashawn Wright's been making plays here and there. We just need a bit more consistency for him. But I don't know if you heard Ben Johnson today. He's talking about Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon possibly being ready to come back at some point in the next few weeks as well. I think he said Jalen Johnson's back in the weight room and doing all this, that, and the next thing. So hopefully their return isn't too far away. What if those guys were to come back? Say we get to we're on week 11 just now. Say we get to like week 14, 15. I think that if we're in a position where we're heading for playoffs, and at the minute we're in the playoff bracket. Then we're going to be wanting to bring some of our big time players in, and I don't know if that'll be considered rushing them back or whatever. But how much of an impact or how much of a change to the view of the defense do you think will be if we get those two guys back?
Two things on that. One, an interesting questions around Gardner-Johnson, the way he's performed. Like, where do you slot him in? Do you have him and Kyler Gordon almost rotating at that position? That's how good he's been in those two games. It's phenomenal what he's produced. Jalen Johnson's our best defensive player. So to win 6 games where he's not been available for pretty much any of the games, have him coming back in, let's say, week 13, week 14 would be sensational. For that little run in before we have those last 3 or 4 games, I think that would be a godsend, if I'm honest. I still think we're a 9-10 win team. 9 wins, I still say, which means we win 3 more games. Is a figure I would have been saying. I think having those 2 guys in make it easier to get to 10. So that's the conversation that I think we're looking at with those 2. They're better players than what we have. You suddenly get a backfield with Tariq Stevenson, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Byard, and then maybe Gardner-Johnson or Brisker. Suddenly you've got a much better unit, a much more secure unit. And with Dennis Allen, the way he likes to shoot safeties off the edge, here he likes to shoot those nickel corners, as you've seen with both Kyler Gordon and now Gardner-Johnson, who I thought was immense at the weekend. Darnell Wright, Johnson and Caleb were just head and shoulders above anybody else on that football field for me in the Bears uniform, and just that's the level we need to get to. We are hanging on a little bit, and I will say this: there will be a game where we may get blown out again this season, because that's the way the NFL goes. Sometimes we're not there yet. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form we're ready for a playoff or any of that kind of stuff. I think we've put ourselves in a position that if everyone stays fit, those players stay fit, we are as good as we've been in a long, long time, and we can challenge those teams, and we can challenge the teams in our own division. I think that's the step we need to take. It reminds me a hell of a lot of the Detroit Lions when that year they turned around and they were 2-6 or something under Ben Johnson and I can't believe I forgot their head coach. that whole experience, and then they went and won 5 or 6 games, and suddenly they took that momentum into the following year, and then went and won the division. That's a lot of what I'm seeing in this team. I will say this: I watched the Detroit Lions at the weekend. I gotta say, they are very impressive football team. They are a very, very impressive football team, and we say we're slagging off Henny. Packers are a good team. May not like hilariously they want to get rid of their head coach, which is hilarious to me. Bonkers. Please do get rid of Matt LaFleur. Please do, because he's terrible coach. No, he's brilliant. And
that's what happens when you see 7 points all game though. Like it's one of those things. Do you know what I mean? Like people are reactionary. I think Matt LaFleur is a good head coach, and I think it'd be mad to let him go. I think what they need to admit is a quarterback's probably not who they think he is. As opposed to the guy running the team not being it, but that's neither here nor there.
The Vikings this weekend, the Vikings have underperformed, and it does underline the point of their quarterback is one of those ones who he could go on Sunday and be like he was in the fourth quarter against us in week 1, or he could be the quarterback who just gets terrified. And the only worry I have about, not only worry, one of the worries I have about this weekend is we're still not getting enough pressure. Montez Sweat has definitely got better over the last 3 or 4 weeks. We're still not getting that pressure. Austin Booker definitely improved our edge rush. We're still not getting the pressure from the interior side of the defensive line. And I would just love to go after 9, as he calls himself now, and put him under more pressure. Because if we give him time with the weapons that he does have, and with our defensive back issues, it could be a long day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's key to this defense getting better. Is the guys on the defensive line getting more pressure? You know, at the moment, the quarterbacks are getting all day to throw the ball. And if you're coming up against good wide receivers, then regardless of you've got your cornerback position, you're going to struggle to cover guys like Justin Jefferson, for instance, who will be a handful on Sunday. There's no doubt about that. So we need the defensive line to step up. And all right, Dave, how you doing, mate? We need the. Oh, by the way, Dave was on the British Bears show yesterday. I'm sorry, Dave, I forgot to retweet it, but you should go check it out. It's part of the. I'm pretty sure it's part of the Barroom Network. I could be wrong, but
he was brilliant.
It was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So good on Dave. What was I saying there? I get completely sidetracked by Dave's wonderful podcast.
Defense.
D-line needs to get home, and you're right. Montez Sweat has really improved, and we have to give him credit for that. Fair enough, it's not where we want it to be still, but he's making improvements. It's not for want of trying. He's getting in there. I need to see more. I mean, by the way, having Austin Booker back will make a difference. You've seen it in the game last week, and I think again that will just continue to grow and grow as the season goes on, and hopefully he can be that guy with Odeyingbo gone. We're going to need a guy the opposite side of Sweat. Hopefully it's Booker. He's had so much promise in every pre-season coming into the season, and then it's sort of fallen away. So hopefully this is the year for it to change. And he's still only 22. Like, he's still a kid, which is mad to think about. So hopefully that works out. But for me, I need to see more from the interior of that defensive line. We've been waxing lyrical about Dexter, Gervon Dexter, being this monster at the interior line. It's not really happening the same way. We talked about Grady Jarrett coming in, big money signing, big reputation. Where's he been? Andrew Billings has been good in parts, but he plays a different type of role. He's a big nose tackle. He's a big space heater guy. Do you know what I mean? But for those guys in the interior of the defensive line, we need to see more from them on a regular basis. And until that starts to happen, I think we're going to continue to give up quite a lot of yards. The good thing is that for all we're giving up a lot of yards, we're not giving up too many points, apart from a couple of games. So, I don't want to say bend don't break, but as long as our offense are clutch in the fourth quarter and win his games, then it doesn't really matter, I suppose. But let's make life easier on ourselves by stopping the run, by not giving up these explosive plays. And the explosive plays have been the problem. And talking about the Vikings, that's what happened in the fourth quarter back in week 1. We threw it away, and it was explosive plays from JJ McCarthy, and fair play to him. And we need to make sure that we nip that in the bud this week.
I also think, though, as well, what I loved about the weekend was defense was on the field, 24-21. I know it's Russell Wilson, I get that, but they were still on the 35. And the next 4 or 5 plays, there was only one of those 5 plays that was a positive play. And that was Wilson with his feet, because Trent Edmonds didn't get up forward to make the tackle earlier. But of the rest of the plays, it was all done where both the defensive line, the edges, everything was working really hard. There was coverage down the field. There was a pass thrown by Wilson to the sideline, and Trent Edmonds intercepted outside off the field of play. So there was a lot of work being done to clean out the game, and then you got the big moment with Trent Edmonds gets his hand in there to kind of slow down the pass or to reduce the pass, and suddenly the game's over. So offense won the game, but the defense was the one that solidified the game. And that's what you want to see as well. You go back to week 1, it was the flip opposite. We looked really good in the first 3 quarters, and we looked dog shit in the fourth quarter. And we got walked on in the fourth quarter. And it always looked like we got tired and ran out of ideas. Now we've got the flip up. You want to find that 60-minute moment. You want to find those opportunities. And Caleb was interviewed today, and I saw a little bit of the interview before we came on here, and he was talking about that we're 0-2 in the division, and they're 2-0. And I guarantee that's been drilled into people's heads this week. Forget the 63. We're 0-2 in this division, and they're 2-0. And if we want to be taken with any sort of respect, if we want to create a statement in our division, we need to go to Minnesota. We need to win. Is that possible? Yes, it is. Is it really difficult? Yes, it is. This division is really tough. They are a good football team. They went and beat the Lions very recently. So this team they're no bums. They've got, like, Aaron Jones loves playing against the Bears. He'll score 100 runs again the weekend. He just seems to love playing against us. Yeah. They've got Jefferson. They've got every one of their players you've looked at. Now, the big issue with them is Greenard might be injured, which is a massive plus if he's not playing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're right. I think the Bears coaches and the Bears leaders, players, are going to be talking exactly about that this week. Is that we need to go in there and we need to win. But saying all that, the Vikings will be desperate to win. Absolutely desperate to win. They're 1-3 at home this year. 1 win all season at home. They're not going to want to lose on Sunday, so that's going to make it even more difficult. They've won 9 out of the last 10 games against us as well. So there's a bit of a pattern there which needs to change. They've played some good games. They beat the Lions in week 9. And then obviously they fell apart last week. Lots of pre-snap penalty issues, which really showed up for me when I watched back a wee bit of it. So they're a team that will be difficult to beat, but they can beat. But what the Bears need to be saying to themselves this week is, if we go up there to Minnesota and we win this game, not only do we go 7-3, 7 wins is not something we've done in a couple of years right away. Not only do we go 7-3, not only do we make sure the Vikings don't have another home win this week, but we break that 9-10 thing and we start a new streak. This new streak under Ben Johnson. We say we're 1-1. But not only that, the Bears have the opportunity to effectively end the playoff hopes of the Minnesota Vikings this weekend. Yep. Because at the moment, I think I seen a graphic on one of those fancy shows earlier on, and it was the Vikings currently have something like a 10% chance to make the playoffs based off of where they are just now. But if we beat them, they're currently 4-5. If we beat them and they go to 4-6, I think that'll half probably at that point. And then you look at the teams that they've got to play the rest of the season. If we can beat them, we can effectively say we're ending your playoff hopes this year. As our rival, we're going to go end your playoff hopes this year. And that's what the Bears need to be looking at to do. I want Ben Johnson sitting in that fucking room this week, looking like a crazy bastard and really riling them up and saying, this is what we can do. This is what we can do. Because what the Bears have done all season is stop things that have been happening from happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've seen things getting turned around and Ben Johnson going, oh yeah, well that was the way it was before, but now it's different, and the outcomes have been different in games and against people and all this kind of stuff, and getting, you know, all the wins in a row and all. Again, this is another thing. This is another thing for him to come in and stamp his authority and go, this is my team now, and this is what we're going to do. So, I think effectively, if the Bears beat the Vikings on Sunday, that's curtains for the Vikings this season. I think they'll be done.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of conversation now. Hope is happening in Hannah's Hall, which is they don't respect you. They don't respect you. They believe the amount of people have seen, oh, look, you've only beaten this guy and this guy. It doesn't matter. And I think for me, it's about respect now. Like, we put ourselves in this position, 6-3. We won 6 of the last 7. We consistently score points. We consistently win games that historically this team does not win. And you shouldn't apologize for that. And now you got to go into a opponent's team and actually perform over a 60-minute period, because we haven't done that yet this season. Well, if this team plays the way we know it can play for 60 minutes, we'll win the game. That's the confidence this team has in itself, and that's what the fan base is getting confidence into that element to it as well. No matter what Minnesota bring, no matter what the referees bring, no matter what the crowd brings, all those things seems to just galvanize. We also, the last time we went away in our division, we got absolutely hammered. Yep. So that should also be brought up, which is like, lads, last time we went on the road to one of our divisional rivals, we threw away 52 points. So let's have a situation where we right that wrong as well. We lost the first week. We don't want to go and have the double done us by a divisional rival. So this then puts us into a streak after that, where we got Cairn the week after, we got the Eagles, we got the Packers twice in 3 weeks. This is the start of this dangerous few games where we need to start putting it, as you said, a change in what people see the Chicago Bears as. Now, that doesn't mean we'll win all the games. I don't think you'd be a madman to think that. But what we got to have is we've got to start giving teams situations where going, God, we're playing the Bears this week. That's what we want to get to. And it's that level of respect I want to see being put on some of these players, and what these players need to then go and earn it. And I'm really looking forward to the game this weekend. I really, really am. Normally, I'm in a away divisional game the last few years. You're going, let's just get this out the way and get it done and move on to the week after. We're playing somebody else. But this is something I'm actually looking forward to. They're a good team. I'll say it again. They have a very good head coach, very, very good head coach, who outcoached us in week 1, outcoached Ben Johnson in his first game in Soldier Field. Their players in the fourth quarter found a way to win and went and did it. We've got to be the ones to go and do that now. We've got to be the ones to soak up the pressure and then be the ones that are striking last.
Exactly. So what we'll do is we'll move on to our predictions for the game. I'm assuming you have your prediction ready, and so...
No, I don't. I don't. In the sense, I swear to God, I don't. And the reason why is I've changed it 2 or 3 times as we're going to go. So I'm going to let you go first so that I can make a solidified point in my head. So you go first with your prediction. And your so prediction and what's the one we have as well? Bold prediction and prediction.
Bold prediction. What show was that? I can't remember.
I'm going to do a song.
Well, that's I know what that's Hogan Johns, isn't it? Well, I didn't steal it from them. I mean, anyone can make a bold prediction. So
exactly.
Anyway, so my prediction, score prediction, first and foremost, Bears 30, Vikings 24. So I think it's going to be one of those really close games. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter again. and then Caleb Clutch Williams is going to just get his 6 shooters out, and he's going to be like, pew pew. Do you mean because he's going to turn around and save us again? Hopefully we won't need saving, but you see it every week with Caleb Williams, and it gets down to that. It's almost like when the game's on the line, he loves it. Like, or we're behind with 2 minutes to go. He's like, fucking, let's go. It's exciting to watch. Anyway, I think the Bears win a close game, 30-24. I'm not really sure what to expect from the Vikings offense, but I think just because of the way our defense has been, I think we're probably going to give up 2 or 3 touchdowns again. And JJ McCarthy, he's a guy that's sort of been, he's had good plays and bad plays. And I think some when his good plays are very, very good, and then his bad plays are not so great. But I think he'll make mistakes again. I think he's thrown an interception on pretty much every game he's played so far, at least one, or a turnover of some sort. So I think we'll probably take the ball away a couple of times on defense because of having that kind of first-time quarterback in there. And I think the defense have got to try and figure out a way to try and look exotic, whether that means wearing fruit on your head or not. I don't know. But anyway, so that's my score prediction: Bears 30, Vikings 24. In terms of a bold prediction, I didn't actually think of one before we came on, so I'll very quickly. In fact, if you want to give me your score prediction, and then we can do our bold predictions afterwards.
Right, head versus heart conversation.
Oh, right? God. Right.
So my heart says Bears 27, Vikings 26. Similar to you, a 4-quarter come back to win it. Right. My head says I want to see it. I'll be honest. My head says I want to see it against a really, really good team. The last time we played a desperate team, the last 2 times we played desperate teams have been the Baltimore Ravens and Detroit Lions, and we got our asses kicked to us in Detroit, and we got beaten in Baltimore quite easily, not easily, but relatively comfortably in the end. And I just worry a little bit about where they're strong and where we're weak. And I think we won't get pressure on JJ McCarthy as much as I'd like, which means he'll have time, which means he'll find Jefferson, because if it's Jefferson versus Nashawn Wright, that's not a contest. Addison on the other side. Addison's fit, isn't he? Pretty sure he is. Jordan Addison against Tariq Stevenson. That's also a mismatch, in my opinion. And they've got other players around the field that is going to cause us dangers. So it gives me a bit of a worry. Whoa, Crimson, are you well, my man? How are you getting on? Haven't heard from you in a while. Make sure you follow us, Crimson. Make sure you give it a like and get on to us. We're usually here on a Monday. Sometimes we're on Wednesdays as well. So love to have you listen to us. Go onto the Twitter page and follow us, all that kind of jazz. Anyway, so that's the head part. The hard part, though, is what's always going to win for me. I'm never not going to pick the Bears. So I'm going to go 27-26. Right, Bears win 27-26. But I wanted to throw in the old head part because it's still there. Right. Yeah. So my bold prediction, right? Bold prediction. Oh, we're going to score either a punt return or a kickoff return.
Devin Duvernay.
Don't know. If Josh Blackwell is coming in, if Josh Blackwell is back from injury or IR or whatever he's on, don't be surprised if he takes it to the house from a kickoff return. I just feel that something on special teams is going to click, and it's going to result in a big play. And I'm going to go with screw it. I'm going to go hardcore. Josh Blackwell punt return to the house.
Okay, fair play. All right, well, bold predictions. I'll go with Colston Loveland. They find a way to scheme him open more often, and he betters his breakout game from a couple of weeks ago. Ends it with 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards on Sunday. Maybe that's not bold. I don't know, but for me,
it's a normal week for Colston.
It's a normal week for Colston. Hopefully, that becomes a normal week for Colston moving forward. So,
can I actually talk about him for a minute? Right?
Go for it.
Remember the start of the year, everyone's gone about tight heads, are difficult. They're difficult. You're very difficult to be a rookie as a tight head. He looks sensational.
Did you say tight
Is
head or tight end?
tight head. Tight head. I'm in rugby fucking terms in my head now.
The helmet needs to listen, man. Like.
We could try that. Coulson would be a great tight head rugby player. Just throw that in. But tight end for me, tight end will be really what gets. From my perspective, he's above and beyond what I thought he was going to be. Crimson, you're here now. That's all that matters. Don't you hit
Foster's fault, man. Come on, Foster. Get rid of the game.
Foster, for sake, get your shit in order. Actually, everyone on the chat, make sure you tell your friends about us, because we used to be on another show that was very popular. So, not saying it's not now, but we were very popular when we were on it as well. So tell everyone in your community that the little Irish guy living in Gothenburg and the Scottish man over to my right, as I'm looking right now, we're doing our own podcast, we're doing our own stuff, bit of fun, bit of crack, and we even get to have an answer rant. We haven't had an answer rant in a while because I've had nothing to rant about. Even though
everything's been too good.
I desperately want to rant about my employment, but let's not talk about that. I might get too personal and I might get kicked off the show. But
thanks, man.
Look, love to have you, Foster. But yeah, I just think there's got to be something in the waters this weekend. I'd love to go. Here's one for you. This might be a controversial take. I don't hate the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the Packers. And I'm jealous of the Lions because the Lions are doing well. But I've got a good friend of mine who's a Lions fan. But I'm jealous of the Lions and I hate the Packers. But I've never really hated the Vikings. You made a statement there a minute ago. They've beaten us 8 out of the last 9 times. And I was like, oh, that's not great. But when the Packers did it, I nearly was on the floor. What's your take on the Vikings as a rivalry?
I mean, I think it's sort of there. I definitely feel it less than I do against Green Bay or Detroit. Like, for instance, if we get beat off of Detroit or Green Bay, I'm more pissed off. Like, I'm also pissed off if I lose any game. But it's different when you're playing against a proper rival that you just don't like, and you don't want to lose that. And I feel that with those two, but Minnesota, like, not so much, like, and I think it's maybe just because, I don't know, maybe they've not been, I mean, it's always, for years it was Green Bay were the best team in the NFC North, Detroit were pretty poor for most of the time. They were like us, for most of it. They would have kind of decent seasons and not decent seasons, and Minnesota would come and go as well. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But yeah, Detroit just annoy me in general, and it's various things. But yeah, the Vikings. I mean,
Rah-Rah's number one. Rah-Rah is number one in Detroit. I hate that lad.
Some player. But do you know what annoys me most about the Vikings? See, every time they get a first down, or is it just every time they make a positive play, that fucking horn thing goes off?
It's Swedish. It's Swedish.
That would do you.
I live here, and it's skull means cheers in Swedish, and it wrecks my titties.
Does this go off in Sweden whenever you fucking walk forward or something like that?
Yeah, everywhere you go. Woo! I'm probably here, you'll see.
It's that honestly, every time I watch their games and that happens, man, I'm just like, that would do your tits in. Guys, let us know what your thoughts are on the Vikings versus the Packers and the Lions.
I gotta take umbrage with Dean on this. The fan base is F9. Vikings have some annoying fan base. Nowhere near the other two though. Detroit, you'd have thought Detroit won the last 2 Super Bowls the way some of their fans do. You actually would have thought they won it. Like, they are up their own ass recently. And then obviously Green Bay are the most entitled fan base in the world when considering they want to get rid of one of the best head coaches in the NFL after losing 2 home games, and are still 5-3-1. So hilarious. That fan base is so entitled, it's not even funny. But yeah. Oh, what did Foster say? Foster, I hate the Vikings back in the entire 70s and the early 80s. Fran and Tommy Kramer just seemed to always beat us, and they were in 4 Super Bowls. They lost them all, though. They lost them all. But yeah, I definitely remember. I don't remember the 70s, even though I'm a child of the 70s. I don't remember the 70s, but I do remember Minnesota. Yeah, I do remember like when I was watching when I was a kid, Minnesota always had that kind of an annoyingly decent team. I remember that.
Funny story, actually. I was up in.
Love a Crimson.
So I thought you were trying to be funny there when I went funny story, and then you started fucking laughing. And I'm like, Jesus, let me at least get to. It's not really that hilarious, but I was up in the Highlands of Scotland at the weekend for something, and after the event, I met a guy back at the sort of gathering thing that was happening, and he's a guy in his mid-70s from somewhere in England who was friends with my father-in-law. And I'd never met him before, and I don't think my father-in-law had met him a lot recently, but he was there anyway. And I looked when I walked into the room. I was like, "Oh, hi, how you doing? How you doing?" And my brother-in-law Malcolm, who's also a Bears fan, kind of nudged me in the side and said, "Look over there." And I was like, "What?" He says, "There's a fucking Packers fan over there." And I looked over, and this old fella has got his Green Bay Packers hat on. So I was like, "For fuck's sake, you can't get away from these guys." So I went over. And I was like, I would obviously go talk to him. I was like, "How you doing, mate? And how did you be?" And basically, this guy's been like a Green Bay Packers fan for decades. And he lifted up his trouser leg and showed me this big, massive Green Bay Packers tattoo on his leg, sort of thing. And we get talking for ages and ages and ages. So he was a lovely guy, really, really nice guy. But he is the exception to the rule. All other Packers fans are arseholes. But I just wanted to put that in there and give a shout out to the fella. I can't even remember his name now.
Let's call him Scottish Packer.
Well, he was English, actually. But
English Packer.
Mark Adams. My wife has just come in and said his name is Mark Adams. Mark, if you somehow come across this show while you're looking for like annoying Bears fans, because you probably think we're annoying. Mark, how you doing, mate?
Maybe he's Henny.
No, he's definitely not. Henny seems like a bit. Anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there. Does that answer your question about the Vikings?
It does. I just find it funny. Here's one for you. We might as well the last one before we head off because I need to go to bed. The last one says, is there any other team that has an annoying fan base? I'll say the reason I say this is since the Packers game, the Eagles fans and the Bears fans seem to have some sort of an alliance going on Twitter and going on social media where they're joining forces. Is there any other team outside the NFC North and you look at their fan base and you go, Jesus Christ, those lads are a pain in the hole?
Cowboys fans? Just because
I don't mind the Cowboys fans because Irish Cowboys is a nice guy. I like him.
Well, he might be all right. He might be Pats fans as well. I feel like it's a bunch of glory hunters, especially a lot of the new ones
Kansas City
about the last decade. Kansas City fans, I mean, I don't really know any, to be honest with you. And generally, they seem all right. They look like they create a good atmosphere at their games anyway, you know, like, try to think. I think that's a bit, to be honest with you. Like, Eagles fans, I kind of like Eagles fans. The only reason is I could have been an Eagles fan. My Uncle Pat, who was from South Jersey, just across the river from Philadelphia, he was a Philly fan, Eagles fan. So I'm all right with them. So if we're out, you know, crack on. You guys can win if you want, sort of thing. But outside of that, I don't really have any sort of real connection with any of the rest of the teams.
It's the Pats for me. You hit the nail on the head for me. It's the New England Patriots. It's just the whole Brady love fest and Belichick and all that kind of stuff that was going on. I love when they lose, if I'm completely honest.
Would you be annoyed by Steelers fans being from Ireland because everybody in Ireland is Steelers fan? Was there too many?
Other than Karen, I don't mind the Steelers. Actually, like the Steelers, the whole family's Irish. They've done a really great job in integrating within the Irish community. To be fair to them, they are the right team to be connected to Ireland because of their family history and all that kind of stuff. So, no, Steelers haven't really bothered me. Growing up, I call them Washington Redskins, but Washington Commanders or the Washington football team or whatever they call themselves, they were always kind of annoying because they were always good. 49ers were always annoying because they were kind of good, but they still, 49ers where I grew up had Montana and they had Young, so I always thought they were, and Jerry Rice, so I thought it was cool to watch those guys play football. But no, I'd say they're the only ones that would stand out in my head. Pats with Belichick because I think he's a knob, and Brady just because Brady was again goes back to the jealousy thing. A bit jealous because he was so good and he won so many, but he was also up his own ass. But just that would be the only two teams. But it's the Packers all day long for me. I can't even look at the jersey without getting sick.
You mentioned the Commanders. Do you remember, though, when back in 2022 or whatever it was, when they were changing their name and they were kind of coming up, they were trying to come up with what they were going to be called? I mean, the Commanders is a fucking terrible name to begin with. But I just Googled it because I remember at the time looking at the options, I thought, Jesus, man, these are fucking horrific. So the options that they'd come up with were going to be Washington Armada, whatever that is.
Jeez.
Washington Presidents, it's quite obvious in it.
Donald would love that.
Washington Brigade. My favourite, though, the Washington Red Hogs. Like, Red Hogs, like pigs or whatever, I don't know. Like, to be fair, most of them are shite. The Red Wolves, the Defenders, the football
team. The Defenders. Imagine they call themselves the Defenders. Gee, who came up with this? Some marketing genius came up with this.
It's bad, man. It's bad. We could have come up with a better name between us if they'd hired us.
I liked Washington Football Club. I thought that was great.
Right, exactly.
Just say what they are.
I'd have said the Washington Windows, and it would have been like washing the windows. I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. I wanted to ask, have you in hilarious happened this week or anything you wanted to say?
Nothing hilarious happened to me this week. No, I didn't. Did I have anything hilarious? No, not really. I saw some funny stories, all right, online where there's some person eating a penguin and stuff like that. Like, it's just weird stuff that happens. Oh, I do have a Swedish story for you, though. If you want to leave me with a Swedish story. So I lived here for 3 years, and they have an unbelievable ability to not understand the rules that I grew up with in shops. So like, as in convenience stores, you call them in the States, we call them like grocery stores. So here's the scenario. There's 2 open aisles, right? And there's loads of people in the aisles. And you're coming up towards the front of the aisle, and one of the workers turns around and says, "Oh, this aisle is going to be open," right? What would you do? You'd let the person who's the next in the aisle, you go over there, buddy, you're next. They run.
All right, yeah, like to pay for your stuff. Aye, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the person in front of you, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
No, not in Sweden. They run from miles back. And the funny story was, there was a woman, I'd say she was around 85 to 90, right? And she could hardly walk. But fuck, could she run when you open the fucking the new aisle? She was like fucking Usain Bolt, ran through to the back, pushing people out the way and everything. Straight to the thing. No one said a word. No one batted an eyelid except for little Paddy man who went, "What the fuck?"
That bastards. That's terrible, isn't it?
Henry Clarkson, and they still do that.
What sort of world do we live in? You know, exactly. Sweden. Get yourself together, lads. That's terrible.
Exactly, Crimson. Humans are funny. Humans are the funniest group ever created.
Strange folks. I heard a joke the other day, and I'll leave you with the joke because my uncle told me, and I thought it was pretty funny. So I'll tell you just now. And I didn't know it's kind of off by heart because it was only a couple of days ago. So I've reminded myself of what happens in it. So here's the joke, right? So an American is on holiday in Ireland, and while he's there, you might have heard this, but I'm going to keep going. While he's there, he wants to play golf. All right. So he goes into the closest golf course to where he's staying and says, "I'd like to play golf, but I'm here by myself, so I've got nobody to play with." And just then a man who's walking by says, "Oh, I'll play with you." He's all great. This is superb. He goes, "Well, what I'll do is I'll meet you here tomorrow at 9 a.m., but I might be half an hour late." And he's like, "Okay, fine." So the American turns up the next morning, and sure enough, the Irishman's there at 9 a.m. with a set of left-handed golf clubs. So they play a round. The Irishman wins it quite convincingly. And the American says, "Oh, that was great. That was fantastic. Do you want to do the same again tomorrow?" And the Irishman replies, "Yeah, aye, let's do that. I'll meet you here at 9 a.m., but I could be half an hour late." And he's like, "All right, half an hour late. Okay, again. Okay, fair enough." So they both turn up the next day at 9 a.m. Only this time the Irishman comes and he brings a right-handed set of golf clubs with him. So they play another round. Again, the Irishman wins it quite convincingly. The American shocked says, wow, you play really well, but I want to try and beat you one more time. Do you want to play again tomorrow? So the Irishman says, sure, I'll meet you here at 9 a.m., but I could be half an hour late. So with this, the American says, hang on a minute here. So yesterday, you beat me playing left-handed. Today, you beat me playing right-handed. How do you decide what hand to play with when you come? So the Irishman says, well, when I wake up, if my wife is laying on her left side, then I'll play with the left-handed ones. And if my wife is laying on the right side, then I'll play with the right-handed ones. And the American says, well, what do you do if she's lying on her back? And he says, then I'll be half an hour late. I was laughing my head off at that one. It was good. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. So hopefully you found it amusing.
Wait, before I go, Matt, great show as always, guys. Feels good being first, and to give Chip some pets. Chip, that's what I was meant to say as well. Chip, my little Jack Russell, girlfriend's little Jack Russell. He's on doggy daycare, right? And do you know what they do? Which is obviously never thought of this before. But girlfriend gets every single day gets a little photograph of Chip, what he's doing, all that kind of stuff. Chip literally is the god of the doggy daycare. He's only been there 2 or 3 weeks, and he's the god. I have to go and collect him sometimes. Go up to collect him, and he literally runs in, says hello to me, and then runs into this little kind of a treat section. It's almost like he uses me to get to the treats. Up there for dancing. That's what I'd say. Up there for dancing. So we have to go up there and bring him up for
doggy daycare. What is this a thing?
Well, doggy daycare is basically so when his parents, or whatever you want to call it, so girlfriend and me, are at work. So it's like normal daycare, but it's for dogs. So him and 120 other dogs. It's a money-making machine. It's a money-making machine, and he loves it. I drop him off in the morning. Sometimes I collect him in the evening, and it's loving time. He loves it, and he goes walks around and all that kind of stuff. So happy as pig. You know how he's having a good time? He's shattered time when he goes home.
Why are we not running a dog daycare place, by the way?
Would you trust me? Would you trust me? Would you trust me with a dog?
But I mean, would you mean? what to walk it and stuff? I think you'd be grand. Did you know?
We'll see. I
need
to ask the girlfriend. No. I trust me with one dog. Definitely. 120 dogs. There could be a problem. Dogs could be drinking. Dogs could be smoking vapes. You could be doing that and going back to their hours. But the money is great. I'd love to be able to get the money for sure. Anyway, it's been absolutely... First of all, I want to say this. It's been great to see the lads on the chat, people getting involved and saying their pieces and getting involved. And Crimson and Foster getting you guys back. Great to have it. Make sure you tell everybody we need to get this up and running so everyone's aware of who we are. Weekend, Vikings, let's make it 7 wins. Jesus Christ, 7 wins. Let's get that going. Get back here next week. Listen to us talking shite. Tony will give another joke. We're going to have Tony's joke of the week. Tony's joke of the week is one of the new segments.
Love it, guys. We'll be back next week. It might be Monday, it might be Wednesday. We'll decide which day works best for us. But we'll put the message out and you'll know. But thanks very much for joining us. Remember, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, all that jazz. And do you remember last year when I was trying to warn you to post that this year? Crimson, I'll answer that question next week, mate. But thanks very much for tuning in. And until next week, bear down and take care of yourself.
Bear down!